The morning sun rose over the purple hills of Viridian 4, casting long shadows across the research camp where Olivia Mason worked. She adjusted her protective gloves and carefully placed another plant sample into her collection case. The delicate, blue-green fronds curled at her touch, releasing a sweet scent that reminded her of mint and honey. "That's the 5th new species today," she said to herself, smiling as she recorded the sample's location on her data pad. As a xenobiologist, these discoveries were what she lived for, not the military conquests her father valued so highly. Olivia checked her map and frowned. The best specimens were just beyond the marker she had placed yesterday, in the zone that technically belonged to neither humans nor the Xeraxian Empire. The border was blurry here on Viridian 4, a frontier world rich with unique life forms. Her research permit allowed her to collect samples anywhere in the neutral territory, but the Xeraxians had been growing more protective of their claims lately. Just a quick trip, she decided, packing her gear and heading toward the ridge that marked the edge of the commonly accepted neutral zone. 3 hours later, Olivia knelt beside a cluster of pulsing red fungi that seemed to communicate with each other through subtle color changes. She was so absorbed in her work that she didn't hear the approaching ships until their shadows fell over her. "Human, you are trespassing in Xeraxian territory. Stand up slowly with your hands visible," a harsh voice commanded through a translator. Olivia rose carefully, keeping her hands open at her sides. Above her hovered 3 Xeraxian patrol vessels, their weapon ports open. "There must be a mistake," she called up to them. "I'm a xenobiologist conducting approved research in the neutral territory. I have permits and clearance from both human and Xeraxian science councils." A ramp extended from the largest ship, and 4 Xeraxian soldiers marched down, their scaled skin shimmering blue-green in the sunlight. Behind them walked a taller figure with elaborate markings on his faceplates, an officer of some kind. "I am Commander Thrax of the Xeraxian Border Authority," the tall one said. "This area was claimed by the Empire 3 days ago. Your presence here is unauthorized." Olivia felt her stomach tighten. "I wasn't informed of any border changes. I'm happy to leave immediately and return to the human research zone." Commander Thrax circled her slowly, his yellow eyes unblinking. "A convenient excuse. We have detected increased human activity in this sector for weeks. Perhaps you are not simply collecting plants, human female." "My name is Olivia Mason. I'm a scientist, not a spy," she said firmly, trying to keep her voice steady. She knew showing fear to Xeraxians was dangerous. They respected only strength. The commander picked up her sample case and opened it, carelessly dumping the carefully preserved specimens onto the ground. "Hey, those are rare specimens," Olivia protested, stepping forward before she could stop herself. 2 guards immediately grabbed her arms, their clawed hands digging painfully into her skin. "Interesting," Thrax said, examining her research equipment. "Very elaborate cover for your espionage activities. The High Command will be interested in questioning you." "This is ridiculous," Olivia said. "Contact the Human Confederacy Science Division. They'll confirm who I am and what I'm doing here." Thrax made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Oh, we will contact your government after we have determined what information you were gathering for them. Take her." The guards pulled Olivia toward their ship. She knew the protocol in these situations: remain calm, provide only name and occupation, request diplomatic representation. Her father had drilled emergency procedures into her head since childhood, even though she had chosen science instead of following him into the military. Her father. If the Xeraxians realized she was the daughter of Admiral William Mason, this simple misunderstanding could turn into a diplomatic nightmare. 4 days later, Olivia sat in a bare cell aboard the massive Xeraxian space station, Caraxus 9. The journey had been uncomfortable, locked in a small holding compartment with minimal food and water. Now at least she had a proper bed and bathroom facilities, though the room was cold by human standards. The door slid open, and a Xeraxian official entered, followed by 2 guards. This one was female, with more colorful facial markings than Commander Thrax. "I am Interrogator Vex," she announced. "You will answer my questions truthfully and completely." I've already told Commander Thrax everything, Olivia replied. I'm a xenobiologist studying plant life. I was not aware of any border changes. Vex tilted her head. Yes, you maintain this story, yet you were found with scanning equipment in a recently disputed territory. Your devices contain detailed topographical data of the surrounding area. That's standard research equipment. The topographical data helps me track environmental factors that affect plant growth. The interrogator placed a small device on the table between them. It projected a holographic image of Olivia's research camp. We found weaponry in your camp, Vex said. Olivia sighed. A standard sidearm for protection against predators. Many of the larger fauna on Viridian 4 are dangerous. All researchers carry protection. And this? Vex changed the image to show Olivia's communications equipment. Basic equipment to stay in contact with the research base. Nothing military-grade or unusual. The interrogation continued for hours, with Vex returning to the same questions repeatedly, looking for inconsistencies. Olivia maintained her composure, giving the same truthful answers each time. Inside, though, she worried. How long before someone contacted her father? What would he do when he found out? At Human Confederacy Fleet Command headquarters on Earth, Admiral William Mason stood at the window of his office, looking out at the ships in orbit. An aide entered quietly and placed a datapad on his desk. Admiral, we've received word from our diplomatic office near Viridian 4. A human scientist has been detained by Xeraxian forces, accused of espionage. Mason barely turned his head. Scientists get too close to borders sometimes. The diplomats will handle it. Sir, the scientist is Olivia Mason. The Admiral went completely still. When he turned, his face showed no emotion, but his eyes had turned cold and hard. What do we know? He asked, his voice dangerously quiet. She was collecting specimens in what we consider neutral territory. The Xeraxians recently moved their border markers and claim she was trespassing. They've taken her to Caraxes 9 for questioning. Admiral Mason walked to his desk and pressed a button. Cancel all my appointments for the next week. Contact Ambassador Reeves immediately. And get me the full file on Caraxes 9 station, schematics, defenses, personnel rotations, everything. Yes, sir. Should I inform the Defense Council? Not yet, Mason said, already reviewing the information about his daughter's detention. Let's try diplomacy first. The aide nodded and hurried out, suppressing a shiver. Everyone in Fleet Command knew what happened the last time someone had threatened someone Admiral Mason cared about. There was a reason he was called the Butcher of Proxima. As the door closed, Mason looked at a photo on his desk. Olivia at her university graduation, smiling proudly in her academic robes instead of the military uniform he had once hoped she would wear. Hang in there, Liv, he whispered. I'm coming. Ambassador Diane Reeves walked through the gleaming halls of the Xeraxian Diplomatic Center on Caraxes 9 with practiced calm. Inside, her anger boiled at the treatment of a civilian scientist, but 30 years of diplomatic service had taught her to hide such emotions, especially when dealing with Xeraxians, who saw strong displays of emotion as weakness. The High Minister will see you now, said the Xeraxian aide, gesturing to a large doorway that slid open silently. Inside, High Minister Zoltak waited behind a massive desk carved from a single piece of their homeworld's sacred stone. Like all high-ranking Xeraxians, his scales had been polished to a bright shine, and his faceplates bore elaborate markings of his rank and lineage. Ambassador Reeves, he said without rising, the Galactic Empire acknowledges your request for this meeting. Diane bowed slightly, just enough to show respect without submission. Thank you for seeing me, High Minister. I come regarding the detention of Olivia Mason, a human scientist taken into custody 4 days ago on Viridian 4. Zoltak tapped his claws against the stone desk. Ah, yes. The spy captured in our territory. She is a xenobiologist with proper research permits, not a spy, Diane corrected firmly. And she was in neutral territory according to the Frontier Worlds Treaty of 2185. The borders were adjusted 3 days before her capture. Official notice was sent to your government. Diane maintained her diplomatic smile. We received no such notice until after her detention. Regardless, this appears to be a simple misunderstanding that can be easily resolved. I request her immediate release into human custody along with her research materials. Zoltak made a clicking sound that translated roughly as amusement. I'm afraid that won't be possible. The interrogation is ongoing. Preliminary findings suggest connections to human military intelligence. That's absurd, Diane said, momentarily letting her frustration show. She's a civilian scientist with the Interstellar Biology Foundation. Then why did she resist providing details about her family when questioned? Zoltak asked. Most innocent people are eager to share such information. Diane's diplomatic training kicked in, helping her hide her surprise. If Olivia was hiding her family connections, she had good reason. Any mention of Admiral Mason would complicate matters immensely. Privacy is highly valued in human culture, she explained smoothly. Now, what would it take to resolve this situation? Quickly? Zoltak leaned forward. Perhaps a revision of mining rights in the Proxima sector? Or access to human terraforming technology? So there it was. The Xeraxians were using Olivia as a bargaining chip. Those would require extensive negotiations with the full Confederacy Council, Diane replied carefully. Meanwhile, detaining a civilian scientist will only increase tensions. Then perhaps you should begin those negotiations, Zoltak said dismissively. The human will remain our guest until then. Guest. As if Olivia wasn't being held in a cell and interrogated daily. Diane's smile tightened. I request permission to see Ms. Mason to verify her condition and provide her with access to human dietary supplies. Zoltak seemed to consider this. Limited visitation may be arranged tomorrow for 15 minutes only. Diane bowed again. Thank you, High Minister. I look forward to continuing our discussions. As she walked back to the human diplomatic quarters, Diane tapped her communication device. Get me a secure line to Admiral Mason immediately. In another part of Caraxis 9, Olivia sat cross-legged on her cell floor, eyes closed, breathing deeply. The meditation techniques her father had taught her as a child were helping her maintain her focus despite the stress of captivity. The door slid open, revealing a Xeraxian guard with food. This one was different from the others. His markings showed lower rank and his movements seemed less aggressive. Your meal, he said, placing the tray on the small table. Olivia opened her eyes. Thank you. The food yesterday was too spicy for humans. I appreciate the adjustment. The guard seemed surprised by her politeness. I am Krell. I requested the change after observing you did not eat much. Olivia stood and approached the food carefully. It still wasn't appetizing. Xeraxian cuisine relied heavily on pungent fermented proteins, but it appeared more suitable for human digestion. May I ask how long I will be held? She asked. Krell's inner eyelids blinked rapidly. That is not for me to say, but interrogation continues tomorrow. I've told the truth already. I'm a scientist, not a spy. Krell tilted his head, studying her. You show unusual calm for a prisoner. Most humans we detain become emotional quickly. Olivia took a small bite of the food, hiding her surprise that Krell was engaging in conversation. Staying calm helps me think clearly. Your posture, your breathing techniques, they are military discipline, not civilian, Krell observed. Olivia careful to keep her expression neutral. My father taught me meditation when I was young. Your father must be a disciplined man. He is, she said simply, not elaborating. Krell watched her for another moment. Tomorrow's interrogator will be more persistent than Vex. Prepare yourself. With that cryptic warning, he left. At Human Confederacy Fleet Command, Admiral Mason stood before a holographic display showing Caraxis 9 station. 5 other officers were in the room, all veterans who had served under him during the Proxima campaign. Ambassador Reeves has made contact with Olivia, he said. She appears unharmed but is being subjected to daily interrogation. Commander, Samantha Wells, his former weapons officer, studied the station schematics. Caraxis 9 has been upgraded since our last intelligence update. These new defense batteries could be problematic. The Xeraxians are using her as leverage. Admiral Mason continued. They want mining rights and technology transfers. Major Frank Calloway frowned. How long before they realize who she is? Unknown, Mason replied. Olivia is smart. She knows. Revealing her connection to me would escalate the situation. He turned to Captain Lisa Hendricks, his intelligence officer during the war. Options? Diplomatic channels are moving too slowly, Lisa said. The Xeraxians are deliberately dragging negotiations. Even if we agree to their demands, we have no guarantee they'll release her. I've put the HSS Relentless on standby, Mason said. Officially, she's undergoing maintenance in the Arcturus shipyards. The room fell silent. The Relentless was Mason's former flagship, the vessel that had brought destruction to 3 Xeraxian worlds during the war. Its name alone would send a message. Sir, Samantha said carefully. Bringing the Relentless into Xeraxian space would be considered an act of war. I'm aware, Mason replied, but I won't leave my daughter in their hands. We'll continue supporting diplomatic efforts while preparing alternatives. We'll need someone who knows that station, Frank pointed out. Someone who can get in and out without being detected. Mason nodded. I'm already working on that. There's a smuggler named Jack Russell who runs cargo through Xeraxian territory. He's been to Caraxus 9 many times. Can he be trusted? Lisa asked. He owes me a favor, Mason said simply. Make no mistake, I hope diplomacy succeeds. But if it doesn't, he didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone in the room had seen what Admiral William Mason was capable of when pushed. As the meeting adjourned, a young lieutenant named Eric Donovan approached the Admiral. He was new to Mason's staff, but had served briefly under him during the final days of the Proxima campaign. Sir, I've found something you should see, he said quietly. Security footage from Caraxus 9 showing how they're treating the prisoners in that section. Mason's eyes narrowed. Show me. If the Xeraxians were mistreating his daughter, diplomacy would quickly cease to be an option. The galaxy still called him the Butcher of Proxima, after all. Soon they might remember why. Jack Russell's ship, the Lucky Star, was small, dirty, and perfect for smuggling. The craft looked like junk from the outside, but its engines and stealth systems had been heavily modified. Admiral Mason stood in the cramped cargo hold watching, as Jack checked a hidden compartment. This can fit 3 people if they don't mind getting cozy, Jack said, tapping the false wall. Xeraxian scanners won't detect anyone inside. Mason nodded. And you're certain you can get clearance to dock at Caraxus 9? Jack grinned, revealing a gold tooth. Been running medical supplies there for 2 years. They think I'm just a greedy human willing to trade with anyone. Their medical officer even looks forward to my visits. Mason studied the smuggler. Jack was tall and lanky with a scruffy beard and long hair tied back. He didn't look like someone who would risk his life to help rescue a stranger, but appearances could be deceiving. Why are you helping us? Mason asked directly. The money I'm offering is good, but not enough to justify crossing the Xeraxian Empire. Jack's smile faded. 6 years ago, my sister was captured by pirates in the Antares system, a confederacy. Ship responded to her distress call. The captain diverted from his mission to save her, even though it meant he would face disciplinary action. I remember, Mason said quietly. The HSS Vigilant under Captain Hendricks. You ordered him to make that rescue, Jack said. I never forgot that. So when your people contacted me, I couldn't say no. Mason extended his hand and Jack shook it firmly. One question, Jack added. Who exactly are we rescuing that's worth risking a war? Mason's face remained impassive. Someone important. In another part of the shipyard, Commander Samantha Wells, supervised as special equipment, was loaded onto Jack's ship. Each piece was disguised as medical supplies or spare parts. The pulse disruptors looked like diagnostic equipment. The shield generators were hidden inside cleaning units. Everything is in place, she reported when Mason joined her. We can leave within the hour. Good, Mason said. You, Frank, and Lisa will accompany Jack to the station. I'll coordinate from the Relentless. Samantha looked surprised. Sir, with respect, I thought you would want to lead the extraction personally. I want to, Mason admitted, but my presence would be noticed immediately. Every Xeraxian in the galaxy knows my face. He didn't mention his real fear, that if he saw his daughter being mistreated, he might not be able to maintain the restraint needed for a covert operation. We won't let you down, sir, Samantha promised. On Caraxis 9, Olivia sat in an interrogation room facing a new Xeraxian. This one was larger than the others, with red markings on his faceplates that indicated he was part of their elite military division. I am Chief Interrogator Drax, he said, his voice deeper than the others she had met. You will answer my questions truthfully or you will suffer consequences. Olivia kept her expression neutral. I've already told the truth to the other interrogators. Drax placed a device on the table that projected a hologram of a DNA sequence. This is your genetic profile. We have compared it to our database of known human bloodlines. Olivia felt her heart rate increase but kept her breathing steady. Her father had trained her too well to show fear. Your genetic markers share significant similarities with a human military family, Drax continued. Yet you claim to be a simple scientist. Many humans share genetic markers, Olivia replied calmly. It's a common occurrence. Drax leaned forward. Who is your father, Olivia Mason? Olivia met his gaze directly. My family is not relevant to your investigation. I disagree, Drax said. Answer the question. I am a xenobiologist with the Interstellar Biology Foundation. That is all that matters in this situation. Drax made a gesture and 2 guards entered the room. Perhaps some time in isolation will improve your cooperation. They led her not back to her cell but to a smaller room with no bed or chairs. The lights were painfully bright, and the temperature was uncomfortably cold for a human. You will remain here until you are ready to cooperate fully, Drax informed her before the door closed. Olivia sat on the floor, closed her eyes, and began to regulate her breathing. Her father had taught her how to endure hardship, how to keep her mind focused when her body was uncomfortable. She would need those skills now. In her regular cell, Guard Krell noticed her absence when he came to deliver her meal. He checked the detention logs and saw the transfer to an isolation unit. His inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a sign of concern among his species. Krell had been observing Olivia for days. She showed resilience unusual for a civilian. Her composure reminded him of the human military officers he had encountered during his service in the border regions. When his shift ended, Krell accessed the genetic analysis report from his terminal. He had security clearance as a senior guard, though he rarely used it for anything beyond routine duties. What he saw made his scales tighten against his body, a Xeraxian reaction to shock. The computer had found a partial match to a prominent human military bloodline, but had not yet identified the specific connection. The analysis was continuing, comparing her DNA to high-ranking human military officers. Krell quickly closed the file. He had fought in the Proxima campaign as a young soldier. He had seen what happened to his homeworld when Admiral William Mason decided the Xeraxian forces had violated the terms of surrender. 3 colony worlds reduced to ash and rubble, thousands dead. If this human was connected to Mason in some way. Krell shuddered. His superiors were playing with fire and they didn't even know it. Aboard the HSS Relentless, Mason reviewed the security footage Lieutenant Donovan had obtained. The images showed Olivia being taken to an isolation chamber. Her face remained calm, but Mason could see from her posture that she was already feeling the effects of the cold temperature. They're escalating their interrogation techniques, Lisa Hendricks observed. They suspect something. Mason's fingers tightened on the edge of the console until his knuckles were white. Then he released his grip and straightened his uniform. Begin. Operation Ghost Hand, he ordered. Jack Russell's ship will depart in 30 minutes. The Relentless will move to the edge of the Arcturus system, ready to jump if needed. Lisa nodded and began transmitting the coded orders to the extraction team. Will the Xeraxians suspect a rescue attempt? Lieutenant Donovan asked. They're expecting a diplomatic solution or possibly a formal military response, Mason replied. They're not expecting a smuggler and 3 retired officers to infiltrate their most secure station. He looked once more at the image of his daughter, sitting cross-legged on the cold floor of the isolation chamber, her eyes closed in meditation. "Hold on, Olivia," he whispered. "Help is coming." The Lucky Star approached Caraxes 9 with its usual wobble, looking like the barely functional vessel of a small-time trader. Jack Russell sat at the controls, his casual posture hiding the tension he felt. "Caraxes Control, this is Lucky Star, requesting permission to dock," he said into the comm. "Got the usual medical supplies and some spare parts you ordered." In the hidden compartment behind him, Commander Samantha Wells, Major Frank Calloway, and Captain Lisa Hendricks listened. Carefully. They wore simple clothing that could pass for trader outfits with weapons and equipment hidden underneath. "Lucky Star, proceed to Docking Bay 17, the Xeraxian controller responded. "Prepare for standard inspection." "Roger that," Jack replied, looking forward to it as always. He guided the ship toward the massive space station. Caraxes 9 looked like a metal spider with dozens of docking arms extending from a central hub. Defense turrets studded its surface, and patrol ships circled constantly. As they docked, Jack turned to his hidden passengers. "Remember, act like tired cargo handlers. Keep your heads down, but not suspiciously so. The medical officer who meets us is named Trex. He likes human alcohol, so I've brought some whiskey to distract him." The docking clamps secured the ship, and the airlock hissed as it connected to the station. Jack opened the cargo hold and began moving crates toward the exit. A Xeraxian medical officer met them at the dock, flanked by 2 security guards. "Jack?" "Russell," he said with what passed for warmth among Xeraxians. "Your shipments are always on time." "Punctuality is good for business," Jack replied, handing over a small package. "A little something extra, as promised." The Xeraxian tucked the package away quickly. "Your cargo handlers are new." The last crew found better paying work, Jack explained as Samantha, Frank, and Lisa began unloading crates. These 3 were cheap. The medical officer signaled the guards to inspect the cargo. They scanned several crates but didn't look too closely at the contents. One of them approached the false wall but moved on when Jack called him over to sign for the delivery. "All seems in order," the medical officer said. "You have clearance to remain docked for 14 hours, not a minute longer." "Understood," Jack replied with a salute. "Some of us might visit the trading hub for supplies. Any restrictions we should know about?" "Lower levels only," the officer instructed. "Upper levels are restricted due to a security situation." After they left, Jack turned to the others. "We're in. The detention block is 6 levels up from here." Lisa activated a small device that jammed nearby surveillance. "According to the intel, we have 3 guard shift changes to work with. The best window is in 4 hours. "Then we get ready," Frank said, opening a crate to reveal maintenance worker uniforms. "And we pray the Admiral's daughter is worth all this trouble." Meanwhile, in the isolation chamber, Olivia focused on her breathing. The air was thin and cold, designed to wear down a human's resistance. She had been there for hours, maybe a full day. It was hard to tell with the constant bright light. The door slid open and Krell entered carrying a cup of water. He looked around quickly before approaching. "Drink," he ordered loudly, then lowered his voice. "They know who you are." Olivia's eyes widened slightly as she took the cup. "What do you mean?" "The DNA analysis completed an hour ago," Krell whispered. "Chief Interrogator Drax has contacted the High Command. They know you are Admiral Mason's daughter." Olivia drank, the water slowly, hiding her alarm. "Why are you telling me this?" Krell's inner eyelids blinked rapidly. "I served during the Proxima campaign. I saw what your father did to my people when they harmed human prisoners." "I'm not military," Olivia insisted. "My father and I don't even speak much anymore." "It doesn't matter," Krell said. "They will use you against him. Already they prepare a public trial to be broadcast across the galaxy." A guard appeared at the door. "Time's up, Krell." Krell straightened. "The prisoner is responding poorly to the cold. She may require medical attention if you wish her to survive for the trial." The other guard made a dismissive gesture. "That's not your concern." When they left, Olivia closed her eyes again, but her mind raced. A public trial would be disastrous. If her father saw her paraded as a spy and humiliated for propaganda, he might do something extreme. On the command deck of Caraxes 9, Commander Thrax received the news with excitement. "Admiral Mason's daughter," he repeated. "This changes everything. Inform the High Command immediately." His second-in-command hurried to comply. "Sir, what about the human ambassador's request to see the prisoner?" "Denied," Thrax said. "Prepare," the main broadcast chamber. "We will announce a public trial tomorrow. The Human Confederacy will have to meet our demands if they want her returned." In another part of the station, Ambassador Diane Reeves received the news that her visitation request had been denied. She immediately contacted Admiral Mason on a secure channel. "They've canceled my visitation," she reported. "Something has changed. They're being secretive." Mason's face remained expressionless on the screen. "They know who she is." Diane didn't. Ask how he knew. "If that's true, this situation just became much more volatile." "Your diplomatic efforts are still valuable," Mason told her, "but I've initiated alternate measures." "William," Diane said quietly, using his first name, "don't do anything that will start a war." "I won't start it," Mason replied. "But I will. Finish it if necessary." The connection ended and Diane slumped in her chair. She had worked with Mason during the peace negotiations after the Proxima campaign. She had seen the cold calculation in his eyes when he told the Xeraxian delegates exactly what would happen if they violated the terms again. They had called him the Butcher because he stated his threats calmly and carried them out exactly as promised. 4 hours later, Jack Russell walked through the trading hub with Lisa, while Frank and Samantha moved separately in maintenance uniforms. They carried tools and equipment that concealed their weapons and gear. "The detention level requires special access," Lisa murmured. "We need a command keycard." Jack nodded toward a Xeraxian officer drinking alone at a corner table. "He looks like he could use some company." Lisa smiled and adjusted her shirt. "I'll see what I can do." She approached the officer and struck up a conversation while Jack watched from a distance. 20 minutes later, she rejoined him with a small card hidden in her palm. "He wasn't careful with his belongings," she said. "We have 2 hours before he notices it's missing." They regrouped with Frank and Samantha near a maintenance shaft. Frank had acquired a station schematic showing the current security positions. "They've doubled the guards on the detention level," he reported. "Something's happening." "We move now," Samantha decided. "The longer we wait, the riskier this gets." As they prepared to enter the maintenance shaft, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. "Attention all personnel," a Xeraxian voice announced. "Security alert level 1. Proceed to battle stations." "This is not a drill." The 4 humans exchanged worried glances. "That's not because of us," Jack said. "We haven't done anything yet." Samantha activated her secure communicator. "Something's happened. The station's on full alert." Admiral Mason's voice came through, tense and controlled. "The Xeraxians have just announced they're putting Olivia on public trial as a spy. They've revealed her identity and my connection to her. Operation timetable is accelerated. Get her out now." 3 massive warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Caraxes 9, their engines glowing blue against the darkness of space. In the center flew the HSS Relentless, its battle scars visible even from a distance. The ship had been Admiral Mason's flagship during the Proxima campaign, and its name alone caused fear among the Xeraxians. On the command deck of Caraxes 9, Commander Thrax stared at the tactical display in shock. "Impossible," he whispered. The Relentless was decommissioned years ago. His second-in-command looked equally alarmed. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel." "Put it on screen," Thrax ordered, straightening his uniform. Admiral William Mason's face appeared on the main display. He wore his full dress uniform, with all his medals and combat ribbons. His expression was calm, almost pleasant, but his eyes were cold. "This is Admiral William Mason of the Human Confederacy," he said quietly. "You are currently holding my daughter, Olivia Mason. You will release her immediately." Thrax tried to maintain his composure. "Admiral Mason, your daughter was caught. Spying in Xeraxian territory. She will face a fair trial according to our laws. Mason's expression didn't change. I'm not here to negotiate, Commander. You have precisely 1 hour to release my daughter and all her belongings to the human diplomatic shuttle. If you fail to do so, I will dismantle your station piece by piece until I find her myself. This is an act of war, Thrax protested. Your Confederacy would not risk— I'm not here representing the Confederacy, Mason interrupted. I'm here, as a father. The ships with me are crewed by volunteers, many of whom served with me at Proxima. They remember what happened there. Do you? The communication ended abruptly. Thrax turned to his second-in-command, his scales pale with fear. Contact High Command immediately, he ordered, and double the guards on the human prisoner. Inside the station, the rescue team heard the alarms change pitch. New alert pattern, Frank noted. That means external threat. Samantha checked her communication device. The Admiral has arrived with the Relentless. We have less than an hour to find Olivia. They moved through the maintenance corridors, avoiding the rushing Xeraxian troops. When they reached the detention level, they found it more heavily guarded than expected. 8 guards at the main entrance, Lisa reported. Too many to take quietly. Jack Russell studied the station schematics. There's another way. Look, environmental control access. It runs behind the cells. As they changed direction, Samantha's device beeped softly. The station's shields just went to maximum power. They're preparing for battle. In the isolation chamber, Olivia heard the alarms and felt the subtle vibration that meant the station's shields were activating. Something major was happening. The door slid open and 2 guards entered. On your feet, one ordered. You're being moved. Olivia stood slowly, conserving her energy. Where to? Secure holding, then the broadcast center, the guard said. Your trial has been moved up. They led her into the corridor, but before they could reach the end, Krell appeared from a side passage. Commander Thrax wants the prisoner brought to the command deck immediately, he said. The guards hesitated. Our orders have changed, Krell interrupted. The human fleet has arrived. Admiral Mason himself is demanding her release. The guards looked at each other nervously. Olivia kept her face expressionless, but her heart raced. Her father had come for her, just as she'd feared he would. Very well, the senior guard said. We'll take her to the command deck. I'll escort you, Krell insisted. The commander wants my report on her condition. As they walked, Olivia noticed Krell's hand resting near his weapon. He was planning something, but she couldn't tell if it was to help her or to ensure she reached Thrax. In another corridor, the rescue team emerged from a maintenance hatch to find themselves face to face with a Xeraxian patrol. Before either side could react, weapons fire erupted. The team took cover behind a bulkhead. So much for stealth, Jack muttered, firing back with a small pulse pistol. Frank threw a pulse disruptor down the corridor. It detonated with a flash, temporarily disabling the Xeraxians' weapons and communication devices. They quickly subdued the patrol, but Samantha took a glancing hit to her shoulder. I'm fine, she insisted as Lisa checked the wound. But now the whole station knows we're here. Jack accessed a nearby terminal. According to this, they're moving a high-value prisoner to the command deck. That has to be Olivia. Change of plan, Frank decided. We head for the command deck. On the bridge of the Relentless, Admiral Mason watched the tactical display as Xeraxian ships moved to defensive positions around the station. Sir, Lieutenant, Donovan reported. The station is broadcasting a message across all frequencies. They're announcing the trial of Olivia Mason for espionage against the Xeraxian Empire. Mason checked the time. They still have 27 minutes to comply with my demand. They're calling your bluff, sir, Donovan said quietly. I don't bluff, Lieutenant, Mason replied. Prepare targeting solutions for the station's external defense grid and communications array. Precision strikes only. On the command deck of Caraxis 9, Olivia was brought before Commander Thrax. Camera drones hovered nearby, ready to broadcast her trial across the galaxy. Olivia Mason, Thrax announced, you stand accused of espionage against the Xeraxian Empire. How do you plead? Before she could answer, The deck shook violently. The lights flickered. Direct hit to external defense battery 7. Someone shouted. Communications array damaged. Thrax stared at Olivia with hatred. Your father fires upon a civilian station. This proves human aggression. My father? Olivia said calmly, speaking for the first time. Always keeps his promises. You should have studied history more carefully. Another explosion rocked the station. In the confusion, Krell moved closer to Olivia. Now, he whispered, slipping something into her hand, a small tool that could release her restraints. Suddenly, the doors to the command deck burst open. Frank and Lisa entered first, weapons ready, with Jack and Samantha behind them. Olivia Mason? Frank called. Here, she replied, freeing her hands. The rescue team fought their way toward her as Xeraxian security personnel responded. In the chaos, Krell helped clear a path for Olivia to reach her rescuers. Why help me? Olivia asked him as they reached the team. I lost family at Proxima, Krell replied. I don't want to lose more today. As they retreated from the command deck, Thrax screamed, orders for their capture. The station shook again as the Relentless fired another precise shot, destroying more defensive systems. The rescue party fought their way back toward the docking bay where the Lucky Star waited, but found their path blocked by Xeraxian troops. We need another way out, Jack said urgently. Lisa checked the schematics. Emergency shuttle bay 1 level down. They changed course, with Krell leading the way through less guarded passages. When they reached the shuttle bay, they found a small diplomatic vessel. Ambassador Reeves's shuttle, Olivia recognized. As they prepared to board, a final group of Xeraxian soldiers appeared. During the firefight, Samantha was hit again, more seriously this time. Get her aboard, Frank shouted, providing covering fire. Once inside, Jack took the controls. I can fly anything with engines, he assured them. The shuttle launched from the station just as another precision strike from the Relentless cleared their path. The small vessel sped toward the human warships. On the Relentless bridge, Mason received word of the shuttle's approach. Confirmed visual identification, Lieutenant, Donovan reported excitedly. It's them. They have Olivia. For the first time in days, Mason allowed himself a brief smile. Open docking bay 3. Prepare medical teams. After the shuttle was safely aboard, Mason opened a channel to Caraxis 9. Commander Thrax, he said, my daughter is now under my protection. Consider this incident concluded, but remember, next time you take something that belongs to me, I won't be so restrained in my response. In the medical bay, Mason finally reunited with Olivia. She sat on an examination table as doctors treated her exposure to the cold isolation chamber. You started a war for me, she said accusingly. I would have finished one for you, Mason corrected. There's a difference. Olivia sighed. I'm still a scientist, not a soldier. This doesn't change that. I never wanted to change it, Mason replied, his voice softening. I just wanted you safe. He looked at the rescued team, especially Samantha, who was being treated for her wounds. Thank you all. As the Relentless and its companion ships turned away from Caraxis 9, Mason stood with his daughter on the observation deck, watching the stars. Think they'll remember this lesson longer than the last one? Mason asked. Olivia smiled slightly. I think the entire galaxy will remember not to underestimate humans, especially ones with protective fathers.